All right, it is November 15th, 2024. I hope everybody's having a good day or night, depending on where you are from. We have a lot of stuff to get into today, so let's get into it. Coming out here, I am pleased to announce that the great Elon Musk, working in conjunction with American patriot Vivek Ramaswamy, will lead the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. This announcement being made a few days ago with the official Twitter page going up. Take a look at that. Already has 1.4 million followers. Absolutely insane. Why do we need a Department of Government Efficiency? In 2020, the US government spent $4.5 million to spray alcoholic rats with bobcat urine. In 2019, the US government spent $500,000 to see if quails were more sexually active on cocaine. In 2023, the US government spent $500,000 for Dr. Fauci's transgender monkey study. A portion of $12 million went to study dog rectal temperatures, 2.7 on studying cats on treadmills, 8,400 on a lobster tank for the Department of Defense. The DOD, I believe that's what that is. And a portion of $12 million went to study monkeys on meth. So on that note, I decided to do a bit of research myself. I went to the Government of Canada, specifically the website, and I went to their job board. I went to the place where you could see what kind of jobs the Canadian government is offering themselves and paying salaries based on taxpayers' money, right? Because the government only gets their money through the taxpayer. We take a look at this job here. Pays about $75,000 to $150,000 a year. This is for a nuclear science and engineering, safety analysis, safety management, all of that stuff. You would look at that and think, that's a pretty fair wage for a job like that, you know, over $100,000, nearly $100,000 for a nuclear engineer. You would say, that's pretty good. I can see that. Fish aging lab technicians. Guess how much they're getting paid? Oh, $65,000 to $100,000, or anywhere between that, $78,000 to $100,000 to check aging fish. Yes, the government is paying somebody nearly $100,000 a year to scientifically track data on aging fish. That's just one job. Manager of orchestra projects, some sort of orchestra for the National Arts Center. $88,000 to $110,000 a year. So now you go back to that nuclear engineering job and you're starting to wonder if they're getting paid enough at all. This is research on fragmentation in star-forming cores, aka watching stars explode in space and documenting it. Guess how much these people are going to get paid yearly? $82,000. Almost $100,000 to watch stars explode. Here's another one. This role is aiming to significantly enhance the detection and characterization of exoplanets. Guess how much this is for an annual salary of $82,000 to watch stars explode. Here's another one. $75,000 to $100,000 annually to be a HR DEI officer. So now you're comparing these salaries. A nuclear engineer practicing safety and safety analysis is making less than somebody who does HR for DEI hiring. These are all government paid for jobs, hundreds of thousands of dollars, easily millions. This is just a few of the jobs I pulled out that are paying this insane salary for something that does not need to exist. Somebody getting paid $100,000 to document aging fish? This is a government job. So yes, basically my whole tie-in here is that I think Canada needs its own Department of Government Efficiency to cut insane spending like this. We have some new news here. Just in, CNN will be firing hundreds of employees, including some of their top stars. The news comes as CNN's Chris Wallace says he will not be returning after his contract expires. Take a listen, shall we?
So when they went to the Capitol and they were breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, injuring police officers, why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out. So if you look at on January 5th, the day before. I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful. This was the day before, and this was in the form of Twitter. Now I use Truth Social. I think it's far superior, okay? I hope everybody's on Truth. If you look, January 6th, this is before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on Truth, and I'm staying on Truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30.
Anyway, you get the point. Donald Trump literally fact-checking CNN live in an interview. Anderson Cooper makes roughly $20 million, while Caitlin Collins makes about $3 million a year. These are insanely high-paying jobs, and they can't even get the facts right. They sit there manipulating and lying over and over again, trying to fit whatever narrative strokes their ego. And it's sad. It's truly sad. CNN will axe top stars in layoffs. That'll see hundreds fired as ratings continue to tank. Thank God. Thank God. The world is healing. In the end, the universe tends to unfold as it should. Get them out of here. They're not needed anymore. The mainstream media, and I've said it time and time again, the mainstream media has lost all credibility. It is now the everyday average individual on places like X or whatever, podcasters, whoever, who have become the legit media, who have become the factual media. And the more and more we see these mainstream government paid for news sources, and I use that very loosely, because at the end of the day, they're just propaganda machines. The more we see these shut down, the more people hopefully won't be as brainwashed and do their own research, take the time to look into things themselves. We have an interesting video here. More than 100 shots fired outside Toronto recording studio last night. This was on November 12th. Let's take a listen.
Here today to provide more details about a very dangerous incident that unfolded last night, which led to the arrest of 23 individuals and the seizure of 16 firearms. At approximately 11:20 p.m., our officers were in the area on an unrelated investigation. A stolen car pulled up and 3 individuals exited. They opened fire on a recording studio and the people that were gathered outside. This brazen act of violence escalated into an exchange of gunfire between 2 groups, during which one of our unmarked police vehicles, with officers inside, was struck by bullets. As the suspects attempted to flee the scene in their stolen vehicle, our officers acted swiftly and boxed the vehicle in. One suspect was apprehended after a brief foot chase, while 2 others managed to escape and are still being sought by police.
Crazy, crazy stuff happening in Toronto. And it appears that things like this are just going to keep happening more and more because of the lack of care. The government has not decided to help the Toronto Police Association at all. They've asked for help numerous times, and we're still seeing these kind of things happen. The Toronto Police literally called out Trudeau on his ass-backwards handgun law, which did not stop any crime. Quick little video, not going to play this here. This only cost Kamala Harris and her campaign $5 million. Yep, that's right. This is, I believe, Megan the Stallion or whoever the fuck twerking on stage. And I don't know why anybody on the Democrat side thought this was going to bring in voters or bring in anybody. What a waste of fucking money. I'm sure everybody and their grandma has seen this guy, Tom Homan, or however you pronounce his name, is Trump's new border czar pick. This guy, he's not playing any games at all.
Are you planning on deporting American citizens?
No, exactly not. Look, the view, it's like the island of misfit toys. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. President Trump has made it clear. We will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats first. And that's what the focus will be. And there's over 1.5 convicted criminal aliens in this country with final orders removal that we're going to be looking for. There's thousands of gang members, illegal alien gang members we're going to be looking for. Now, I'm going to say, if you're in the country illegally, You shouldn't feel comfortable. Absolutely not. I won't feel comfortable if I'm in a country illegally. If I'm in some other country illegally, I'm not going to be comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal, and you're not off the table.
All right, there you have it. A lot of videos coming out about this guy. No games being played with him, and I absolutely respect it. When it comes to the hundreds of thousands of undocumented individuals pouring over the border, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their intentions are, and you sure as hell don't know what they are going to do or where they're going to go. Yes, they are being picked up and dumped all over the United States, and the sad truth of the reality is they're eventually going to make their way up into Canada, depending on if Trump actually does what he says he's going to do, which I truly do believe he will. We have a just vile video here of a York University lecturer and a PhD candidate. Look, at this current point in time, anybody who says they're a professor or a college professor, university, they have a PhD in this or that, you simply just want to take it with a grain of salt, because the truth of the matter is a lot of these people are deranged and they're not actually as smart as they make themselves seem to be. They try to belittle individuals based on not having any post-secondary education. They want to belittle you, make you seem like you're stupid or unintelligent, whatever the case is, however they want to portray themselves. Most of the time it is that way, though. They want to belittle you because you don't have any education. Well, this is what happens when you do have education.
Fuck you! Oh. This is November 11th. I know.
Yeah, so this absolute waste of air, screaming at Canadian veterans marching on Remembrance Day, saying that she hates them, saying fuck you. She hates our country so much. What is she doing here? You're damn right. You're damn right. Some more news. This is how some people in our country spent Remembrance Day. Jewelry store in Brampton robbed in broad daylight. Yeah. Yep, just cut and dry. Running into the jewelry store and robbing it. I'm surprised there's no bars on the windows. I'm surprised there's no, I don't know. You would think if you're going to leave expensive jewelry overnight in a store or shutting down the store for the day that you would take the proper security measures. Obviously, you don't want people breaking in and you're not going to expect this to happen. But most of these pawn shops, jewelry stores have barred windows at the very minimum. And I bet this place is going to be taking up on that as well very soon, based on what's happening in this video here. We got a funny video here. I don't know really what's going on with Biden anymore. He's just an interesting fella at this point. He's just a puppet who is continued to be strung up and played. Reporter, Mr. President, do you think you can get a ceasefire deal done by the end of your term? Biden, do you think that you could get hit in the head by the camera behind you?
President Biden, do you think that you can get a hostage deal by the end of your term?
You think you can get hit in the head by a camera behind you?
Honestly, I thought that was kind of funny. As much as I don't care for the guy or think he's doing a great job, I also don't like the mainstream media or reporters at all. They remind me of a bunch of swarming locusts who just try to latch their way onto anything and invade their way into anything to get the smallest piece of information possible. It was quite obvious from the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency that he didn't care, and it continues to show when things like this happen. We got an interesting video here. Taiwanese parliament member reportedly stole a bill and ran away with it to stop it from being passed. Apparently, fact checkers coming in here. This is why Twitter's great, because this fact check wasn't here a couple days ago. This is an old video, apparently from 6 months ago, but you can still take a look at it. It's still kind of funny. People like to say our parliament is highly entertaining and ridiculous. Well,
周安来紧紧抱着资料不放手，还一度跌在椅子上，两人来回拉扯，最后郭国文使尽全力抢下文件，以堪比美式足球员的速度冲出一。
What the fuck? Oh, that's the most amazing thing ever, bro. The an NFL team needs to pick this guy up. He fucking dodges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people easily, maybe even 8. And he's going for the touchdown. 9, 10 people. They don't even try to stop him. He's long gone. I might have to start covering Taiwanese parliament, ladies and gentlemen, if stuff like this is going to happen more often. All right, The next piece of news, a significant explosion leaves multiple people trapped and injured or missing with 1 mile shelter in place due to hazardous materials. Apparently this train here in Clifton, Kentucky, look, it either derailed or just completely blew up and causing some insane damage here to, I believe, this train station, this rail station. Maybe this is some sort of industrial factory or plant, whatever this is. What would it say? A mile wide shelter was placed due to the hazardous materials in the air. Crazy stuff going on in Kentucky. Toronto, masked protesters facing off with police. This happened on the 12th, outside of an event where former PM Stephen Harper is at.
And we don't get no justice, and you don't get no peace. And we don't get no justice, and you don't get no peace. And we don't get no justice, and you don't get no peace.
I mean, they're blatantly telling you what they are gonna do. If we don't get no justice, then you don't get no peace. Yeah, that's a threat. That's a threat to violence right there, if I've ever seen one, but fuck, whatever. If I told you this was California, you would probably believe it, but the sad truth is this is Vancouver, aka Northern California. Let's take a look at this video.
Maybe you just need to go back to...
Alright, let's not take a look with the sound on, but yes, look at this right here, the street in Vancouver. Just a disaster. And yes, this is just one street in Vancouver, but it is a lot more than that. This entire city has fallen to lengths that you would not imagine. It is pretty sad. It is pretty sad. And this is what the NDP does. This is an NDP-run province. They just got voted back in. I don't know how. People are claiming some sort of interference. And the final video, before I do a little throwback, play a little throwback to question period from last week. Pro-Hamas loyalists in Calgary attempted to block the roads next to the Harry Hayes Federal Building like they do in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. Except something else decided to happen. Oh, mass arrests took place. Let's go! Holy shit, finally a police organization in Canada with a set of balls. With a set of cojones, man. They actually went in and they shut this shit down. Oh, it's beautiful. Sweet, sweet justice. Oh, it's beautiful. Take them away, boys. Take them away. That's right. If you block the streets like absolute Neanderthals, then you should be dragged away by your head and thrown in jail for at least a week or so. Make you think and reflect on the absolute retardation you wanted to participate in. When you sit there and block literal how many hundreds of people, and you really think this is going to stop whatever is happening in the Middle East? Like, you gotta use your brain here. You're just pissing off a lot of people. You're not stopping anything from happening over there. And you really don't know who is waiting in this line here. You really don't know if somebody's about to have their falling down day, if you know what I mean. If you've seen that movie, you never know if somebody's just gonna snap and let's just say, oh, the gas pedal's stuck. I don't know. You know, the brakes weren't working that day, that kind of thing. Or you never know if somebody might have a medical emergency waiting in the line to try and get to wherever they have to go, or maybe an ambulance, maybe police officers are trying to get to a crime scene or location. You never know who is waiting in this line up here, and you have, like I said, absolute Neanderthals screaming, thinking this is going to stop anything in the Middle East. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you for watching and joining me. Let's get back into a little throwback here from question period from last week. It's like a drinking game.
Now you know his real agenda. He wants to distract from all the economic misery he's called at home. And so he uses divisions here at home. These divisions are the result of him. Under his leadership, we've seen a 251% increase in hate crimes, fire bombings of synagogues, bullets shot at Jewish children's schools, 100 churches burned and vandalized, and now we see sectarian riots on the street streets of Brampton. This never happened before this Prime Minister. Does he take ownership for the divisions he's caused and the violence that has resulted?
Order.
Uh-oh.
Colleagues.
Colleagues.
I'm going to ask members, please, especially members from the far end of the House, to please not take the floor unless they are recognized by the Speaker. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, people watching that last answer will know and note the assuredness with which the Leader of the Opposition declared all the causes and the sources of the terrible violence we're seeing, when the reality is he refuses to take the necessary briefings that our security agencies are offering him to understand the threats to Canada. Why won't he get the security?
Oh, this is rough. This is brutal. Trudeau has nothing to say, zero accountability for the actions he has taken. Uh-oh, Greg is going to lay the smackdown.
Colleagues, it does not do well when on one side of the House is asked to keep quiet, the other sides of the House should do the same. All members should do the same.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the government has tabled regulations to cap greenhouse gas emissions. It's a bit complacent because the deadlines are long, extremely long, and it's Quebecers and Canadians who are paying the price. This is going to give polluters a holiday on emissions control, and this regulation is may appear inadequate given the oil and gas lobby here in the House. Could this not be better done through statute? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as a government, we have always chosen to do everything that's necessary to reduce emissions, to protect Canadian prosperity, and to protect Canadians' future. That's why we're moving ahead with a cap on greenhouse gas emissions coming from the oil industry. This is an industry that is making record profits, an industry that already has the technology to reduce emissions, but with this cap, the industry will have to invest to reduce emissions so that everyone does their fair share in reducing emissions and protecting the planet. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Instead of considering...
Yes, I was quite shocked Trudeau actually showed up today. It was in his itinerary.
Or green banking or funding of green technology, as the Bloc has been advocating for a long time. The Prime Minister himself has said that this is an industry whose profits have skyrocketed since the pandemic. Instead of imposing standards that aren't tough enough, why doesn't he impose tougher standards? And that way he could go before the electorate finally with a bold record on the environment. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I know full well that both the Bloc and we have the same opinion on this. No industry should be allowed to pollute without limit. That's why we have put a cap on greenhouse gas emissions in the oil and gas industry. That industry contributes almost 1/3 of Canada's annual emissions. And so that industry has a greater capacity to reduce our emissions. They're making record profits, so we agree that they should reinvest in technologies that will help reduce emissions and help them do their fair share.
Honourable Member from Burnaby South.
Who here doesn't have a family doctor? Well, 5 million Canadians don't. Now, Loblaws owns Maple, and a family doctor working at Maple's will charge you $80 a month per person to see a doctor. Now, things are gotten so bad, this is predatory. The Prime Minister lets you down, and then Galen Weston swoops in to profit off it. Why is this Prime Minister letting Galen Weston profit off of people's pain?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that it is the provincial area of jurisdiction to deliver health care in this country, but it is the federal responsibility to make sure that that health care remains public and universal and single payer. And that is exactly what we're doing by investing a record $200 billion in health care over the coming years that will oblige the provinces to invest in public health care, to hire more doctors, particularly family doctors, to reduce wait times, and to improve their mental health services. These are things that Canadians expect, including the federal government expecting it of the provinces.
L'honorable député de Burnaby Sud.
The honourable member for Burnaby South. Private health care is a jungle. It could cost $213 for a minor emergency. It's so profitable that real estate investors are opening private clinics. And the Prime Minister...
The Crime Minister.
is...
I like that. It's a good one.
Will the Prime Minister finally stand up and put an end to all of this? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, unlike the NDP, we understand and respect the fact that the delivery of health care comes under provincial jurisdiction. But the federal government is responsible for ensuring that our healthcare system remains public, and the federal government has to be there to help with the funding. That's why we've put on the table $200 billion in investments for the next 10 years, which will allow for the hiring of more family doctors, reducing wait times, more support for mental health and workers in the system. And that's what all Canadians expect.
The honourable member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
This Liberal NDP Prime Minister presides over the worst GDP per person growth since the Great Depression. And it's no surprise. His high taxes and woke policies like carbon tax scams, job-killing capital gains tax hikes, and oil and gas cap have made Canadians poorer. In fact, U.S. GDP grew 2.8% as Canadians' GDP per person declined for 2 years, driving out business, investment, and jobs. Will this Prime Minister axe the tax hikes that make Canadians poorer?